Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how to change strings on a standard acoustic guitar. I'm actually only going to be changing 5 of these because I just changed this one the other day because I broke the one that was on here. So I'm going to take off the remaining strings that haven't been changed recently and replace them, and I'll show you how to clean the neck and do all the basic maintenance to get you up and going and to keep your strings nice and clean. So the strings I'm going to be using are the Elixir Nano Web. I have the HD lights. You can also just go with the lights. I got the HD lights just because I got a good deal on. Usually the only difference is that these are 13. They start at 13 for the high E string, and they go down to 53, which is just slightly heavier than the standard gauge, the standard light gauge. I don't actually know if it makes any real difference. I don't think it really does. So going with the standard lights over the HD lights is fine. Especially if you're new and your fingers are still getting used to it, you might even go with the extra lights because they'll be easier on your fingers. Okay, so we're going to use these. I'll go ahead and open them up. So when we go to change strings, there's a couple basic tools that you'll need. First of all is you'll need some clippers, so you can take the strings off more easily and take them off the tuning pegs and then clip them, trim them off when we're done replacing them. The other thing you'll need is, well, this is optional. You could use this, which is this doohickey that is used for turning the tuners on the guitar, which I'll show you how it works in just a second. It can speed up the process, but it's not mandatory. The other thing you can use is get some guitar polish, especially some guitar neck polish, and use that to clean the neck. But I cleaned this one fairly recently, so I'm not going to bother with doing that today. I'm just going to wipe it down. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with the first string. Okay, so now as you saw there, all I did was loosen it and then pull it straight out. It's not too difficult down here. Down here, when we go to take out this this peg down here is actually the part where there's a trick to it. So especially if your strings have been on there for a really long time, then this might be more difficult. But usually, what you can do to break the string out of here is all you have to do is push the string down into the guitar. You see how I pushed it down in, and then the peg will unlock basically, and then you can pull the peg straight out, and ideally it'll come right out. With guitars that have really old rusty strings that have been on there for a long time, it can be much more difficult than that. Worst case scenario, you take the 6th and the 5th strings off at the same time, or sometimes those 3 if you can't get and then put your hand on the inside and push up on the peg. Usually I stick a towel in there too, help make it easier on your fingers. You push up on it after feeding the string into the guitar. So as you saw, and you'll see while I do the other ones, this goes under, and then you feed the string into the guitar, and then it unlocks the peg. Okay, so we got that one off. Now let's go ahead and do this string too. I usually do 2 strings at a time. Okay, just like with the low E string, you take it, you push it in, then you pull out the peg, the string pulls straight out. Careful not to lose those little pegs because they're expensive. You have to replace them. Well, expensive being like $8 or $10. Okay, so let's go ahead and wipe down the neck first. Like I said, this is the point at which I'd take out some polish, usually just some regular guitar polish, and put it on the fretboard here, just a little bit. You'd be surprised how much junk gets stuck under the strings here. And then make sure that you use like your nail to get behind, right up behind the frets, especially the ones as you get farther down the neck where it's been used more, because you'll pull all sorts of dirt and grime out of there. Once again, this will be especially bad if you have rusty strings. It hasn't been that long, so this is pretty clean, but also with some polish, you'll be able to get some more off of there. Okay, place this string. So I'm starting, because the lowest string is 53, so I made sure I got the 53. Usually when you take them out of the package, they're already in order from you, from lightest to heaviest, or vice versa, if you flip it around. I usually start with the heaviest string, with the low E string when I change these, because when you go to do it, you want to minimize the amount of change of pressure that the guitar neck experiences. So when you start with the heaviest string, it kind of takes the tension off of those two strings and then puts it on the other four, because the guitar neck has a back bow in it naturally. Without any strings on it, it'll naturally back bow. And so when you take more than like two strings off, it can cause that back bow to come back in the neck, and it can basically just mess with your intonation. Now I've taken, before I knew better, I took all 6 off of my guitar before and put it back on there, and I haven't noticed any serious difference, like any big deal, but it's a good precaution just in case. Probably more of a superstition than anything. Okay, so now I have that string on there. I feed it through a little bit. This one, usually I measure it in like finger lengths. If you can fit like 3 fingers on there, that's probably good. You don't really need a ton of string to wrap around the tuning peg on this one. You just need enough to keep it from slipping, which is usually 2 or 3 wraps around the tuning peg. So I'm going to try it, and then if it's not enough, then we'll loosen it up again and try it again. Now, with an acoustic guitar, you gotta make sure that this peg doesn't back out while you're tightening it up. Now, when you're putting it on, you'll feel it slip a little bit, and you don't want to push it on there really hard. When you put the pin in there, you just gently press it in. You don't want to push it really hard, or you'll never get it out. So you just make sure it doesn't come out on you while you're tightening these strings up. Okay, keep this down. There we go. Okay, yeah, double check that. Make sure that's not sliding out on me. Okay, we're good. One down. We got about 2 wraps around the tuning peg, and so that's enough to keep it from slipping. Plus, once we tune it up, actually we can go ahead and tune it up now. I have a tuner on the side here. There we go. Okay, yep, that definitely gives us about 2 wraps around, so we're good on that. Okay, now we'll really quickly just go ahead and replace the 5th string. Also, when you're putting these pegs in, the one thing I forgot to mention is that these have a groove in them. So what you want to do is match the string into that groove, and then the ball point that goes on the end of the string should drop down below that. You can see that right there. Okay, we have that down there. Then I fit it with so that the groove in the pin faces down the neck. It should fit right into a pre-existing groove from the previous string into the guitar. Fits right down there. Push it down a little bit. Now, let me see here. Fit it straight through. Okay, now this one you can leave a little bit more slack than you did on the 6th string. just because it's smaller. You can fit a few more wraps around the tuning peg. Okay, and now as you watch me wrap it, notice that I'm keeping the tip of the string up, and I'm putting the string that's on the other side, I'm actually tightening on the guitar, under. I like the way it wraps when it does that. It's much more organized looking. Now notice this is backing out a little bit, so I push it a little bit back in. It doesn't take a whole lot of pressure, I'm just gently pressing it. Okay, check it every now and then. Okay, we're good on that. The other thing to notice is that if, as far as maintenance goes, depending on the strings you'll have that you put on, they'll last for different amounts of time. Uncoated strings, which are usually cheaper, around $7 or $8, well, $7 to $10, they will last somewhere around 1 to 3 months, sometimes less. I've seen some brands that last less than a month, depending on how often you use them. But with the Elixir strings, they're very popular because they have a special anti-rust coating on them. They're also more expensive. They're around $15, depending on where you go. But they have an anti-rust coating on them, so they'll last somewhere between like 3 to 6 months, is my guess. Once again, it varies widely on how much you use them. Okay, so I just opened up my 4th string here. I'm just going to set that down for a minute, and I'm going to go ahead and take this one off. If you notice, I always pluck the string when I go to take it off. That way I know that I'm loosening the string and not tightening it. So if you tighten it all of a sudden real quickly like this, you'll bust your string and it'll break in your face, which I've had a couple close calls doing that the wrong way before. Pull that out, push it down, pull that. Simple and easy. Okay, get that one. Go ahead and do the 3rd string. Notice, remember that you're going to have to turn the other way when you switch sides. Okay, push it in. Then the pin comes loose, pull it out. Okay, so now we have the 3rd string. Oh, I already opened it. It's down here. Have 3rd string here. 4th string, correction, sorry. Take the pin, feed it into the pin like so. Drop it in the guitar, make sure it's straight and facing down the neck. Put a little pressure on it, but not very much. Bring it down here and feed it through. Give it a little bit of room on here. Tighten it down. Once again, notice what I'm doing to keep, is I'm actually pulling on the string a little bit, keeping some pressure on it, and then holding it with this finger right here, so that when I wrap it, I have some tension on it. It'll help it wind easier that way. And then I always make sure that it wraps around the bottom so it doesn't ride up on the tuning peg. There we go. get it on there, you don't need to tighten it up yet. I'm going to do the third string. Feed it in there. Through. Okay, give it lots of room. Now with these ones, depending on the strings you get, on most acoustic guitars, the third string will still be wound because they're a bigger gauge than an electric guitar. But so you can just leave these. You still want to leave some, plenty of slack in there because you really can't have too much. Okay, so this just came loose down here. Push that back in. There we go. Starting to get tight. Okay. Alright, now we got both of those on. Go ahead and turn it and tighten those, tune it up again. The other thing when you're tuning up the strings and putting on new ones, you want to make sure that you face the guitar away from you, because if you tighten them up too quickly or something of that nature happens, then you'll tighten them up and you can break them. So you just face the guitar away from you so it doesn't break in your face. Tune this one all the way up to D. This one needs to go up to G. Usually, sometimes, while you're doing this, you also want to just make sure that those aren't pulling out while you tighten it up. Pins in the bottom. Now the other strings will be out of tune because of the increased pressure on the guitar neck. Okay, now, like I said at the beginning of the video, I already replaced this first one a couple days ago because I broke it while playing. So I'm going to just replace the second string and leave the first string on there. Oops. Okay, now, since we're replacing this one, I'm just going to clip it and then pull it out the other side. Sometimes if they are all wound up in there like that and it's kind of difficult to get them undone, you can just clip it off. Once again, push it down. Sometimes on these ones that aren't wound, you don't have as much grip on them, so you have to use a towel or something to help you do it. So this one's being a bit of a booger. Here we go. Okay. So once again, I was just pushing on it until I could pull the pin out. Sometimes the smaller strings are a little bit more difficult, but you just gotta make sure that you get a good grip on it. Push it down in and pull, and then you can pull up on the peg. Another trick you can use is if you have a guitar pick, you can take the guitar pick, and while it's in there, you just wedge it under the side. If you have a really heavy one, that is, and you can use the guitar pick to pull it out. Let me see if I have one around here. If you have it in there, you can stick the guitar pick under it, and then use it at an angle, and use the pull up on it. That can help you to get it unlocked. And last case, last ditch attempt, if you can't get it out, then loosen a couple of strings, like I said at the beginning of the video. You stick your hand in, and then push up on the ones that you need to get on the one that you need to get out. Okay. Now, once this is done and you've replaced all of your strings, your guitar will sound completely different in a good way. The rusty strings have a really dead tone that doesn't sound appealing. They're also, once they get too stretched out, they'll be difficult to keep in tune. And so by doing this on a regular basis, you can make your guitar sound like a new guitar all over again. And one trick you can do with these is actually feed it through twice. I use that typically when I'm using on an electric guitar. On an acoustic guitar it's not as necessary, but if you want to, you can just feed the string through twice, and then it will be sure not to come loose. Let me see here. You know what? May as well just do it. So I'm just putting it here. Take this tip. And then I feed it. Oops, it's kind of difficult with all these other strings in the way. Feed it back through. Again, push it through. And get a grip on it. And pull it out the other side. There we go. Like I said, this isn't as you don't always need to do this with an acoustic guitar. I'm doing it now just mostly for demonstration purposes, otherwise I probably wouldn't have. There we go, just pull the extra out of it. There we go, and tighten it down a little bit. And then as the string tightens, it'll pull that little bubble out of it, usually. Here we go, get this. Tighten it down as before. Oops, that's the difficult thing. Gotta make sure it doesn't pop over like that, because if it does, it's just unwinding itself. little trick I do is I just tuck the string under the other one that I already have on there. That way it doesn't won't pop over as easily. Okay, make sure that's good. Sorry, I'm filming this with my phone and I forgot to put it on silent. Okay, now I'm gonna face it away and turn it up. Now you're gonna hear it slide probably in a minute here. There you go. Because that bubble that was on the extra string that was on the tuning will start to slip through as the string gets tighter. Okay, now, well, I should probably check the other ones too. Okay, now what I can do with these is these are all wound up together. You can wrap the towel around it and give it a good tug. There we go. Okay, now since I double wound it, there's still a little extra string on there, but it shouldn't be a problem. I'll clip off the excess, and then if it slips ever, then that excess will catch it and it won't come loose, or it won't come all the way off at least. All right, let's tune it up one more time. Whenever you mess with one of the strings, you're gonna have to tune it up again. Okay. Now it's time to clean it up and clip off the extra string that's on the end there. The other thing to mention is that if you have a short scale guitar for like a kid, then you can still use the same strings, just get the extra lights, or as light as you could possibly go, because with a shorter neck, the strings will have greater tension on them, and so especially when it's a kid, you want to give them as light strings as you possibly get, because it'll be easier on the fingers and more enjoyable. Okay, so I have a little trick that I use, a little technique that I use when I go to clip the string, is I like to take the string and push it down on it, and then pull it over. I'm actually going to put it at a slight angle right here, and then clip it above that angle. So put a little edge in it like that, in the corner. It's difficult because I have that other string down there, but do it the best we can. Pull it over, and go a little bit above it, and then just clip it off. There we go. Same thing. So the second one isn't most pretty, but it's functional. So, like I said, usually with an acoustic guitar you don't need to wrap it twice like that because the strings are bigger. Alright, now, you saw that I tuned it up right before I did that. But once you do that, once again, you're going to have to tune it. Okay. So it's going to take a couple of days at least for the strings to finish stretching and breaking them in. You'll have to do that. So it takes a little while to get them to continue to stay in tune. But a way that you can accelerate that process is just by breaking them in up front. When you have them like this, you stick them and pull on them, stretch them out like this, and you don't want to yank them too hard, but you just pull them up and down and side to side. Especially the wound strings. The wound strings are the ones that will stretch the most. The other two are pretty much okay because they're not wound. They will stretch, but not as much. Okay, so we got those stretched, and do it one last time. Okay. Okay, we just changed all 6 strings on our guitar, and I actually didn't clean the neck anymore while we were doing it. Usually I'll go through and clean each little piece of the neck, but like I said, this one's pretty clean, so I'm not too worried about it. But if it's been a long time since you changed strings, or you don't know the last time you changed the strings, just definitely do that. In between, when you take off each pair of strings, just clean them off, and then you should be all set. Also, you can take advantage of the time and just kind of clean the dust off places you don't normally mess with. Alright, thank you very much for watching this video, and please feel free to contact me in the comments or otherwise, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. Thank you very much, and have a great day.